Fine. So you need to just hear, it will be a revision for you, but then I'll be more neater now. So yesterday I told that electronic hardware is, concurrent in nature. Okay. And we defined that concurrency means event driven. Okay. So whenever any circuit or any system exhibits an event driven behavior, it is said to exhibit concurrent behavior. Okay. And then we defined event as any change in value of a signal is called as event. Okay. And then we give example that clock signal. Okay. So this is a clock. So we know that okay. So this clock, we can say so this and this are levels. We should be clear that one cycle of clock has 4 states: high, low, rising edge and falling edge. So 1 and 0 are levels. They cannot be called as events, but rising and falling edge are called as events. Okay. Now we consider a system which is event driven, right? So we will take a classic example of event driven system. Okay. And the system is a 3-bit asynchronous up counter. Okay. So this particular has outputs Q2, Q1 and Q0, and it is made up of T flip-flops. Okay. So a T flip-flop is one whose input T equal to 0, T equal to 1. So we are assuming that it is negative edge triggered. So when T equal to 0 and falling edge comes of the clock, then it is no change. and when t equal to 1 and a falling edge comes, then q equal to q bar, right? So here we have 3 flip-flops. The leftmost is the LSB flip-flop. So this is Q0, Q1, Q2. So these are the clock inputs of the flops. These are the T inputs. And we know that all the T inputs are tied together and connected to plus VCC. So 1. So the flops are in toggle mode. Here we have the clock signal. The output of first flip-flop acts as clock input of next. Q1 acts as this thing. Okay. So it's very, very important that here when clock has a falling edge, Q0 becomes Q0 bar. When there is a falling edge on Q0, Q1 becomes Q1 bar. And when there is a falling edge on Q1, Q2 becomes Q2 bar. Okay, this is a classic example of an event-driven system. Okay, classic example of an event-driven system. So we see here that when CLK, comma Q0, comma Q1 go from 1 to 0, then the counter increments by 1. That means for all clock, comma Q0, comma Q1 from 0 to 1, high and low, counter remains unchanged. Okay, so 3-bit asynchronous up counter, which we have shown here, the classic example of an event-driven system. That is, if falling edges do not occur on clock Q0 and Q1, the counter will not increment itself. Getting me now? So we can say that event-driven systems depend on occurrence of specific types of events. Okay, so we can say that C, C++, Java, VB, etc. cannot represent concurrent behavior of electronic hardware efficiently. Therefore, need of hardware description language. Okay, so I missed giving an example of an event-driven system. So we defined what is concurrent nature, we defined what is an event with an example of a clock, and we saw a system which is event-driven. Okay, and then we told that VHDL is a combination of V plus HDL, and V stands for very high speed integrated circuits. Then we told that VHDL is an IEEE standard, and then we told that the first version was standardized in 87, so VHDL 7, or it is also known as IEEE STD 1076. After 5 years, it was refurbished with 16 more keywords. It came to be known as VHDL 93 and IEEE standard 1164. So this had 81 keywords, this had 97 keywords. Okay. Then we told that VHDL is used for modeling only digital systems, not analog. Okay. Then we define that VHDL coding is called as modeling. We told that modeling has two functions, that is defining input and output signals and defining relationships between inputs and outputs. Okay. Then we told that VHDL model can have maximum 5 or 6 building blocks: entity declaration, architecture body, sorry, miss it again, library statements, entity declaration, architecture body, configuration declaration, package body, package declaration. Library statements, entity declaration, and architecture body are compulsory. Okay. Told that the smallest digital system for which we can write a VHDL model is not Git. Okay, this is where we stopped yesterday. So now please understand one thing, that a question can be asked, that what is the functionality range of VHDL? Okay, so basically want to ask that which are the functionalities which we can model from a VHDL. Please understand one thing, that VHDL can model a digital system as simple as a logic gate to as complex as a microcontroller. And anything in between. Okay, so we see that VHDL has 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 broad spectrum functionality modeling, but it has limitations of it has limitations of so it has limitations of which representations it can model. I'll explain. Okay, fine. So So now I have written 4 words: system, modules, gates, and transistors. And if we see that from transistors up to system, we see that the abstraction goes on increasing. Okay. So all of you who have studied C++ or object-oriented programming languages, you know that there is a concept for called as abstraction. So abstraction is defined as hiding of details. So when I say system, then it is a big question mark that what is the functionality. When I say module, say for example you have an ALU module. So say you have some idea that okay, there is some details is there. Okay, some details is there. Okay, when you say gates, it becomes more clear. And when you say transistor, it is extra clear. Okay, so as we see that when we proceed from transistors to gates, gates to modules, and modules to systems, things become more and more abstract and we need explanation about what is the functionality. Please understand one thing, that if you are using VHDL language for modeling a digital system, it can model on system level, it can model on module level, it can model on gate level. Please understand one thing, that transistor level modeling is not possible using VHDL. No. Okay, so VHDL cannot model any system which has been represented as an interconnection of transistors. So I can rewrite this as telling that VHDL cannot do transistor level modeling. Okay, fine. So I'll explain this, what I mean by telling that VHDL cannot do transistor level modeling. So now I will make 2 figures and you have to tell me, what are these. Okay, figure number A. That is figure number B. All of us know that figure number A is a NOT gate. My question is, what is there inside the symbol? Okay. A question to the students. Figure number A is a NOT gate. My question is, what is there inside the symbol? Yes, speak.
Inverter.
No, that is there.
Figure
Y
B.
equal to, yeah, y equal to a
So
bar is
that
functionality. Yeah,
CMOS
it is an
inverter.
inverter. I am telling you what is there inside means what is the composition of that NOT gate.
So CMOS inverter.
Not necessarily. When I say NOT gate, it is any circuitry, it is any combination of components which will invert the input digital signal. So when I say what is there inside the symbol will depend upon which logic family it belongs to. If it is a TTL, if it is a TTL, it is a NMOS logic family, it will have a single NMOS transistor inside. If it is a PMOS family, it will have a single PMOS inside. Getting me? If it is RTL, it is registered transistor logic it will have inside. So the components of this NOT gate will depend upon which logic family it depends. Getting me? So this symbol represents only functionality. What about figure number B? Figure number B. So when I say that what is there inside the symbol, is this question applicable to figure number B? Yes. Is this question applicable to figure number B?
No, sir.
No, because everything is clear. I am seeing in front of my eyes, there is one PMOS and one NMOS. And the way that they are connected indicates clearly that this is a CMOS NOT gate. Getting me? It's very, very clear. So the logic family constitution of B is unambiguous. It is a CMOS NOT gate. Now the question comes that can I write a VHDL model for figure A or figure B or both or neither? Getting me? So now you tell me that can I write a VHDL model for figure A?
Yes, sir.
Can I write a VHDL model for figure B? Yes. Can I write a VHDL model for figure B?
No, sir.
No,
I have
sir.
clearly written a statement. VHDL cannot do transistor level modeling. Got the point? Yes. Why? Because
Yes, sir.
inside the language, there are ready-made keywords called as not. So in the architecture body, I simply have to write down y is assigned. I have to tell y is assigned not of A semicolon modeling is over because the keyword not is there in the language. So I can write a VHDL model for figure number A, but there are no keywords. There are no keywords in VHDL to represent PMOS, NMOS. So the answer is a big no. Getting me? So I cannot write a VHDL model for this thing. Okay. So please understand one thing. Figure A and figure B have same functionality. But because figure number B is a transistor level representation of a NOT gate, that is why VHDL cannot do the modeling. Another classic example is here. Okay. See. So you tell me. So figure number C. Okay. What is this? What is this? Yes.
Or get.
Very good. So in VHDL, I can simply write down y is assigned A or B. Model is ready. Now see what I'm doing. See now, I will now draw the CMOS equivalent of an OR gate. Okay. So it is first we have to draw NOR. So it is like this. So here what I drawn here is actually an OR gate, but it is a CMOS NOR gate. Okay, so this is my NOR gate and this is my NOT gate. So what I've done basically is this. So fine. So again, I cannot write a VHDL model for this, but I can write a VHDL model for this. Okay, it's very clear. So now we go. So I hope that everybody is having a pen and paper with you to make notes. So as I told you that first we will study the compulsory blocks. So VHDL model is a combination of library statements, entity declaration and architecture body. Okay, so first let us learn what is the syntax for library statements in VHDL. Understand one thing, that caps will be used for we'll be using caps for inbuilt keywords and lowercase for user defined keywords. Okay, fine. So syntax is something like this. The keyword library space library underscore name semicolon. Please understand, in VHDL semicolon is called as a statement terminator. Okay, then the second one is that use library name dot package name dot function name semicolon. Okay, I repeat, the syntax for library statements block in VHDL model is the keyword library space library underscore name semicolon. The next is use library name dot package name dot function name semicolon. Okay, so there is nothing to be explained here because there is a standard library called IEEE which gets installed. So all of you, if you have installed Xilinx ISC package on your machines, you should go to C:\Xilinx folder, and then you should see all the folders which are there, and you should be able to find one folder called as library IEEE. Okay, so when you write library statements in VHDL, then the standard statements which come are this, and I think so you can mug up the statements. Okay, so I'll say actual statements in the library. Okay, you can copy this because from tomorrow we are starting with actual coding. Okay, so instead of library underscore name, I will write library IEEE. Okay, Then second statement which comes instead of this is use library name dot package name standard underscore logic underscore 1164 dot. Okay, you please follow the second syntax for library statement is use library name dot package name dot function name. So we already defined that the name of the library is IEEE. So I have written library space IEEE semicolon. Second statement I wrote use. So whatever name I am using here is to be used here. And in place of package name, you have to use the standard, this thing called as standard underscore logic underscore 1164. And you understand this thing that the name of the library is IEEE. The name of the library is IEEE. And this is the package name. This is the package name. Okay. So standard underscore logic underscore 64 is the package name. And then I will write down all. Okay. This sends my library statement. Okay. So use library name IEEE dot package name is standard underscore logic underscore 1164 dot all the functions in this particular package. So all. Please remember one thing. If you remember that the IEEE standard number for VHDL 93 is actually 1164. You see here, so 1164 is the IEEE standard number for VHDL 93. Okay. In addition to this, we use many other statements like use IEEE dot standard underscore logic underscore unsigned dot all. Okay, so you should copy this library statements in our book so that when we start coding online and on the tool, okay, so you can copy them as it is. Okay, fine. So we complete the library statement section of the VHDL model. And then we will now proceed to entity declaration. Okay. Second is entity declaration. Please understand one thing that here we are going to define all signals. Okay. Input and output. Okay. So now let us take a hypothetical system. Okay. As I told you, what did I tell you yesterday? I told you that correct BD leads to correct ED. Okay, so first make the block diagram. So let us consider that this is our proposed digital system whose name is, E name. Okay, E name, and this particular system has n number of inputs, I1, I2, I3 up to IM. Okay, so this particular entity or the proposed digital system. So I can say, please understand this, very important. Student doesn't understand this and so he makes mistakes in the exam also. So this is my proposed digital system. Proposed digital system means it's a digital system for which I want to write a VHDL model. I want to synthesize it. I want to simulate it, and then I want to implement this particular system into an FPGA. So this proposed digital system is a system which is having m inputs and it is having n outputs. Okay, let the outputs be y1, y2, y3 up to yn. Okay, Please understand this thing, that this E underscore name is the entity name. Okay. So our block diagram has been drawn wherein I have defined that my system is having m inputs I1, I2, I3 up to IM. It is having n outputs Y1, Y2, Y3 up to Yn, and the name of the entity is E name. Now let us see how to define I1 to IM, Y1 to Yn, and the entity name. Okay, so we should learn the syntax. So now question is, how do I define all input signals? How do I define this entity name where, and how do I define the output signals? Okay, so the syntax goes like this. Okay, the keyword entity space entity underscore name is. Okay, so all what I'm writing in uppercase or capital ABCD is actually built-in keywords, but entity name I am going to give, so I am writing it in lowercase. So entity space entity name is port, opening parenthesis, then I will write the keyword signal space, which is our first input signal. It's I1. So I will say okay, fine. Signal space signal name colon okay. Similarly, we'll go here. I will say signal last signal name mode data type. I will not put a semicolon here. Please listen carefully. After you define the last signal in your system, then you will not put a semicolon here. Okay. So you have to put semicolons everywhere. You have to put semicolon everywhere, but not after the last signal. Then you close the brace, put a semicolon, and then I will write the statement end entity underscore name. Okay, this is the syntax for entity declaration. Okay, so I repeat again that if I'm going to write the entity declaration for this particular system, whose name is ename, it is having m inputs I1, I2, I3 up to IM. It has n outputs Y1, Y2, Y3 up to Yn. Please understand one thing, that I have used here this thing, that first signal name I have written. Okay, first signal name, and I have last signal name. Okay, so who can tell me that in this particular system PDS, Which is the first signal name and which is the last signal name? Yes, in this entity for which we want to write an entity declaration, in this system, which is the first signal and which is the last signal?
So first signal is I1 and last signal is YN.
Very good. Right? Correct. So this is my first signal. This is my last signal. Correct. Okay. Okay. Please understand that this E name is going to come here. Okay. Here I will have to write down I1, I2. Somewhere here Y1 will start, Y2 will start, and here it will come YN. Question may be asked, sir, what will come here? Here there will be direction of the signal. This is the place where you will define whether this I1 is input or output. Okay, so it can have three values. I can write down in, I can write down out, or I can write down in out. So this is if you want to define a signal as input signal, this is to be written if an output signal, and this is to be used if you want to define something as a bidirectional signal. Data bus is bidirectional. So if you want to write a model for data bus signals, you have to use in out here. Okay. Another question comes that what will I write here? Data type. So in place of data type, I can write down bit. I can write down standard underscore logic. I can write down integer, and many more are there. Okay. As of now, if we want to learn how to write a very small program for NAND gate, for NOT gate or AND gate, I will tell you that you should by default use this particular thing, standard logic. Okay. Use standard logic. There is a difference between bit and standard logic, which I'll tell you in the subsequent lectures. So currently you can use this. This is also correct, but there are reasons. Okay. So now we have almost 9 minutes. So we will write down the actual entity declaration for this entity. Please remember this thing that the inputs are I1 to IM, outputs are Y1 to YN. The name of the entity is E underscore name. Okay. So see how I'll write it. Okay. I'll write it in same only one color. Okay. I'll write down name of the entity is E name. Entity E underscore name is port. Open the brace. I'll write down signal space signal name colon mode. I1 is input type, mode space data type semicolon. Repeat this. Signal space signal name, second signal is I2. It is also input space data type logic semicolon. Go down. Similarly, I will write down signal space IM, the last input signal, mode that is direction, standard underscore logic semicolon. Then I will start with my output signals. My first output signal is Y1. So here it will change to out, and then everything else will remain same. Okay. The second output signal Y2 mode. Similarly, come down, and now I will be defining the last output signal or the last signal of the system, yn colon out standard underscore logic. This is wrong. You are not supposed to put a semicolon after last signal. Okay, that purposefully I wrote and I've erased. Okay, so now all our input output signals are defined. Close the brace and just write down end e underscore name. This completes our entity declaration for our entity. Okay, so now we go down and we will see how to write the entity. So now what you can do is that I will give you some task. Okay, so you have to write the entity declaration for this. Okay, so students, is an assignment. Write library statements and ed for the following PDS. Okay. Okay, students, you are having a proposed digital system here. So the block diagram is given. Okay, so please write the library statements and entity declaration for this. So it is very clear that the name of the entity is prac underscore en. It is having 5 input signals which are having the names x, y, z, w and r, and this system is having 2 outputs o1 and o2. Okay, so yeah, start writing in your books. Okay. Okay, write the library statements and entity declaration for following PDS. Okay, so the syntax is here, and I already told you that for any VHDL model which you write, you can blindly copy these statements. Library IEEE semicolon, use IEEE dot standard underscore logic underscore 1164 dot all, use IEEE dot standard underscore logic underscore unsigned dot all. Okay, so these three statements do not need, these three statements do not have any connection with this particular PDS. But yes, this particular block diagram has a connection with the syntax for entity declaration. Okay, anybody's done? Please tell me. I will make you as a presenter and you can show your notebook. Okay. Yes, you can raise your hand. If anybody is LS and ED is over in your book, you can raise hand and I will make you a presenter and I would like to see what you have written. I know it is difficult in the first place, but then if you understood the syntax properly, it is very easy. Okay. Right. The second system for which you can write is this thing. Okay. Okay, I forgot to tell one thing is that there is a restriction on ename. Okay, so there is a restriction. Please note this. It's very important. I forgot that this E name cannot be a keyword in language. Cannot begin with numeral. Okay. Restriction on entity name is that it cannot be a keyword and it cannot be a numeral. Okay. So A, B and Y, and let the names, okay, entity name be A and D. So here only I made a mistake here. So and NAND nor cannot be entity names. Similarly, 1 and 9 NAND also cannot be keywords. Why? Because I told you that entity names cannot begin with numerals. It's not allowed. Same time, it cannot be same as keywords, right? That means what? That I cannot have my entity's name as and, because and is a predefined keyword in it. Okay, please understand that these are the predefined keywords in the language. You can copy this NAND nor and or not XOR XNOR. These are all predefined keywords. So even if you're writing a VHDL model for any of these 7 gates, you cannot write down the entity names as this thing because they are predefined. Okay. What you can write? You can always write down NAND 1. You can always write down NAND underscore 1. Okay, it's allowed. You can also write down N underscore and. This is also allowed because there is no keyword called as N, but there is an underscore in between. Okay. So we are having only 1 minute left. Is anybody ready with that? You can just raise your hands. I'm seeing for raised hands. Yes. Any one of you has written the library statements and entity declaration for this prac n system? You can raise your hand. Okay, fine. So today I'm excusing you because this is new, but tomorrow I can ask anybody to show the LS and ED for both the systems. And if you just attend the session but you do not do the homework, then you will not learn anything. Absolutely, there is no benefit. So tomorrow be ready. If I ask anybody, no, today you can answer, that is not a problem.